Let's start our checkpoint review. On number 1, I'm writing down, are you reading closely and looking? The first R stands for read the question. So let's find our question mark. Let's go all the way to the beginning of the question and let's start to read. What is the total amount Camille now has in her bank account? U stands for underline. Let's underline. The next R stands for read the details. I'll read. Camille started with $58 in her bank account. She put $176 into her account last week and another $277 this week. Now it's time to circle some clue words. So you may not know that a bank account is a special place where people keep their money. It says that she started with $58 in her bank account, and then she put $176 into her account last week, and then another $277 this week. And we're looking for the total amount that she now has in her bank account. So I can cross off the clue words. My label can be that a bank account is a place where you keep your money. And we can start our 4-step process. But for this question, I'm just going to make it a 3-step process to give myself a little bit more room in the strategy section. I have some questions that I need to ask myself every time I answer a math problem. The first question is, what should I do first? Well, the first thing I need to do is fill out my main idea. My main idea for this question is going to be, what is the total amount Camille has now? And my next question is, what do I know? What I know is that Camille started with $58 in her bank account, and then she put $176 into her account last week, and then another $277 this week. And we need to find the total of all that money that she has in there. So my next question now is, how can I represent everything that I know in a strip diagram? First, I need to start out by asking myself who this question is about. Well, this question is about Camille, so I'm going to label my strip diagram C for Camille. And I know that she has a lot of money, so I'm just going to draw a money symbol, because this bar is going to represent part of her money. This first bar that I drew is going to represent how much money she had at first in her bank account. At first she had $58, and that was in the very beginning. But after, she put in $176 into her account, and that was last week. So if she has some money here, and then she got more money, I just need to put the next number together with the 58. She ended up getting $176 more into her account last week. So those bars are now touching because we're putting them together, and that's going to be our action. But we're not done with the story, because after she put in the $176, she put in another $277 this week. So she has all this money, and this week she put in some more money. So we have to connect our next strip with the rest of them. It was $277 that she put in this week. And that's all of the money that she has in her bank account. The question wants to know the total amount of money that she has. And right now, I don't know what the total is. But I do know that the total goes at the top, so I'm just going to put in a question mark because I don't know what that is. It goes at the top because it covers all of these numbers that are down here. So now that I have my pictures, I can use my eyes to see what operation will help me by looking at my action poster and seeing what action is going to help me here. I've been saying put together a lot, and I know that these bars are touching, they're coming together, so it's put together, and the operation that's going to help me here is addition. So I'm going to write my clue up in the corner, and I need to add those numbers, but only 2 at a time. So I'm going to add the 58 and the 176 first. I'm going to put the 176 at the top, and then the 58, and I'm going to cross them off so I don't add them together again. 6 plus 8 is 14. It is so important to regroup here. 14 cannot fit in one place value, so the 10 in 14 needs to go with the 10s at the top, and the 4 ones have to go in the ones place. Mr. Esparza is going a little fast here. If you need to, you can count on using your fingers, but remember, you start with the big number, you put the big number in your head, so you say 8 and you touch your brain, and then you count on 6 to make the addition faster. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's how I knew the answer was 14. 7 plus 5 may be a little tricky too, so this time the big number is 7, you put the 7 in your brain. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plus 1 is 13. And remember to regroup. 1 plus 1 is 2, so you have 234, but don't get tricked. The 234 does not go here. The 234 was only because we added these two numbers. We haven't even touched this one yet. So now we have to go back and add that one to our sum. So I'm going to write the 234 again, and I'm going to put it together with the 277. When you add this time, the big number is 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Again, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus 1 is 11. Remember to regroup. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we have a total of 511, and this 511 goes at the top for our total. So I'm just going to place it there, and I need to justify. When I justify, I'm just going to write down that at first I added 176 plus 58. That got me the sum of 234, and I added 234 plus 277. Now this question has a griddable. A griddable is a chart that looks like this, where you have to put in the answer you came up with in, so that the Scantron can grade it. This griddable looks a little scary, but it's not really that scary. All you have to do is pretend it's a place value chart. A place value chart starts with the ones, tens, and then the hundreds. You're never ever going to label that on a Scantron, but if it's in your test booklet, then that's okay. So in 511, the 1 is in the ones place, so I'm going to write 1, and the 1 is in the tens place, and the 5 is in the hundreds place. And after you write it down, you just look below and bubble whatever number you wrote down. Here's 1, so I'm going to bubble 1. Here's 1, so I'm going to bubble 1. And I have my answer. Now we can move on to number 2. On number 2, I'm going to write down RU, reading closely and looking. The first R stands for read the question. Which equation can be used to show how many collector cards he has left? Now I can underline. Read the details. Stephen has 127 collector cards. He bought 179 more collector cards. Then he gave 35 of them to his friend. Now I can circle some clue words. First one is that he has 127 collector cards. Collector cards are just really special cards that someone wants to keep because they're special. He bought 179 more collector cards, and then he gave 35 to his friend. And we're looking for an equation that is a number sentence that can be used to show how many collector cards he has left. The equation that we're going to choose is going to be 1 in our answer choices. And if you look at your answer choices, you can see that in this problem, it's not important that we actually figure out the answer. It's more important that we know how to find the answer. So I can cross out the clue words, I can cross out my label because I labeled that number sentence, and now I can start with my 3-step. On my 3-step, the very first thing I should do is my main idea. Which equation can show the collector cards he has left? My next question is, what do I know? Well, I know that Steven has 127 collector cards in the beginning. That's a lot. But then he bought 179 more collector cards. So now he has even more. And then I know that he gave 35 of them to his friend. So how can I show that in a strip diagram? Well, first I need to start by labeling who it's about. It's about Steven, and I know that Steven has collector cards. So my strip is going to be all of his collector cards. I know in the beginning he had 127 collector cards. But then I also know that he bought 179 more collector cards. And if he has some cards and then he has more cards, he's just going to put them together. So my next bar is going to come together, and my next bar is going to have 179 cards. This 127 was how much he had in the beginning, and this 179 is the ones that he bought. I'm just going to label that by, so there won't be two B's. So then he gave 35 of them away to his friend. So you can't give something away unless you know how many you have first. Here, I don't know what my total is, but I can figure out what operation I need to use by just thinking about the action. If you look at this picture, the two bars are touching like Legos, clicked together. And if I look at my action poster, this picture matches the picture of the butterflies that are coming together, and that operation is addition. So I'm going to write my clue up here, and since the answer choices have the number sentences written long ways, that's how I'm going to write mine. I have 127, and I'm going to put that together with 179. But like I said earlier, right now we don't really care about finding the real answer. We just care about finding the way to find the real answer. So let's pretend that we found the real answer. If we found the real answer, our bar would now look like this, with all the numbers together. Now, since I don't actually know the answer, I'm just going to put a star right here. But the next part of my story does tell me that he gave 35 of all of this away to his friend. So I'm going to take a little piece. I'm going to take away 35 because that 35 goes to his friend. And the other section is how much he has left. Now I need to look closely at this picture. I have a circle and I have it going away, 35 going away. So I can look at my action poster. That matches take away because it has a circle and the arrow is taking it away. And the operation for that is subtraction. So I'm going to write my clue off to the side, and that tells me that after I add 127 and 179, I need to take away 35. And that will lead me to my answer, which I don't really care about, so I'm just going to put a box right here. So if I look at my answer choices, none of my answer choices matches what I came up with. Now that doesn't mean that we're wrong, because we did everything right. But it just means that they're trying to trick you, because they rearrange some of the numbers. So what I know for sure by looking at my number sentence is that the 35 needs to be going away. So I need to make sure that all of these number sentences have the 35 going away. In A, the 35 is going away. So that is a maybe. In B, they're adding 35. We're not adding 35. That's wrong. In C, 35 is being taken away too. So that's a maybe. And in D, there is no 35. That makes no sense. So it's either A or C. So now that we know about the 35, we can just ignore it for right now. And let's look at the numbers that are left. If we take away the 35, this says 127 plus 179. hey, that's these numbers right here. I am adding them. So I'm going to put maybe again. And in C, it says 179 take away 127. I'm not taking away 127. That's crazy. My answer here is A. And I can justify that by saying that I put together 127 plus 179, and I took away 35 from whatever sum that would be. And I'm going to use the from strategy, because if you actually took away, you would need to start from the sum, the answer of these two, when you add them. Let's move on to number 3. For number 3, it's not really a question. I'm still going to put down, are you reading closely and looking anyway though, just so I can make sure I read everything correctly. Find the difference of 603 and 386. Now I can underline. I already read everything. And now I can circle some clue words. Well, a big clue word here is difference. Every day we see that the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So there's my clue that I need to subtract. My next clue is that I have a 603 number and a 386 number. And I need to take them away. So I can cross out the C, and I've already labeled, so I can start my 3-step. My first question is, what should I do first? Well, I need to write down my main idea. My main idea is, what is the difference of 603 and 386? What do I know? Well, I know that difference means to subtract, and I know that I need to subtract 603 and 386. I need to show that work in my strategy box. My strategy, I'm going to think about which number should go at the top of the algorithm. Well, the number that should go at the top is 603 because it's the larger number that we can take away from. So I'm going to write down 603, and I'm going to take away 386. Now, because there is going to be some regrouping, Mr. Esparza is going to put in a place value chart so we can draw our base 10 picture to go along with our algorithm so that we can understand the regrouping, ones, tens, and hundreds. The picture that I'm going to draw is of 603. And I'm only going to draw one picture of this large number because I only needed to draw one line to make a minus sign. Let's draw 603. I need 3 ones, I need 0 tens, and 6 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boop, 6. And I did that boop because Mr. Esparza likes to draw things in groups of 5 to help him count faster. So 3 take away 6 because we always start in the ones. Well, I only have 3, so I can't take away 6, so I need to borrow some. I can't take away from the tens, so I need to go to the hundreds. I'm going to cross out the hundreds and I'm going to bring it over to the tens. Since I took 100 away, that means I don't have 6 anymore. Now I have 5, so I need to change that up here. And I put a 5. This 100 that I took away trades for 10 tens, so I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boop, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tens. It says I have 0, so I need to fix that. I'm just going to label the one in the front to make that into a 10. And now that I have 10 tens, well, now I can borrow something from the tens place to make sure that I can take away 6 here. So I'm going to take away a 10, I'm going to bring it over, and since I took away a 10, now I have 9 tens. So I'm going to cross out that 10, put a 9 here, and that 10 that I took away trades for 10 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boop, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I don't have 3 ones anymore. Now I have 3 and 10. I have 13 ones. So I need to fix that. And I put a 13 here. Now I have plenty to take away 6. So I'm going to take away 6 starting from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that leaves me with 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to write 7 here because 13 minus 6 is 7. Now 9, take away 8. Let's take away 8 starting from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 1 left, so I'm going to write that here because 9 take away 8 is 1. And 5 take away 3, start from the top. 1, 2, 3. I have 2 left, so I'm going to write down the 2 right there. Our answer here is 217. Since I don't have enough room to justify over here, I'm just going to justify where I have space over here. When I justify, I'm going to write down that I took away, let's look at the number that we took away. I took away 386 from 603. Because I started from 603 at the top. I kind of had to squeeze that in there. Let's move on to number 6. Are you reading closely and looking? Read the question. How many points did Jocelyn score? Underline. Read the details. Marcy and Jocelyn both scored points playing an air hockey game. Marcy scored 400 points, and Jocelyn scored 14 less points than Marcy. If you don't know what air hockey is just a game where you have a table that's a special kind of table that has air blowing out of it, so that a little hockey puck or a little circle can move around on the table and slide around really easy. And the whole point is to try and get it into the little slot at the end of there on the other side. So you may have seen this game at like Mount Asia or someplace fun like that. Maybe Chuck E. Cheese too. So they're playing their air hockey game. Let's circle some clue words. A clue word that I see is that Marcy scored 400 points. I can label that M for Marcy so I don't forget. And Jocelyn scored 14 less points than Marcy. I know less means that she scored, I guess, the least, not as many as Marcy. And we're looking for how many points Jocelyn scored. So let's cross out the C, let's cross out the L, and let's start our 3-step. My first question is, what should I do first? First thing I should do is the main idea. How many points did Jocelyn score? And my next question is, what do I know? Well, I know that Marcy scored 400, and I know that Jocelyn scored less. She scored 14 less. Well, how can I show that in a strip diagram? Since we're talking about 2 people in this problem, I need 2 strips. The first person that it's talking about is Marcy. So I'm going to label M for Marcy, and I'm going to make her own strip, because I know how many she has. Marcy has 400. So I'm going to label that at the top, because that is her total, and the total goes at the top. And we're talking about points here. I forgot to label that this was Marcy's points. The next person that we're talking about is Jocelyn. And Jocelyn also has points, but she has less points. So her bar is going to be shorter because it's not as much as 400. And I can stop it right here. Now, I don't know how many she scored. I'm going to put a question mark inside. But what I do know is that she scored 14 less than Marcy did. So I'm just going to pretend that it goes all the way to Marcy's, because Marcy's is 14 more and Jocelyn is 14 less. So I'm going to write the number 14 here, and I'm going to write less. If it's less, that means that number needs to be taken away from 400. So now I just need to look at my action poster to see what action would help me figure out the answer to this problem. So the first one that I see is take away, because it has a circle and it has it being taken away. And the operation for that is subtraction. So I'm going to write my clue off to the side that I need to take away 14 from 400. I'm going to do that in my strategy. I'm going to take away from the large number, which is 400, and I'm going to take away 14. Now, because I already showed you how to solve this kind of problem with a base 10 picture, I can go ahead and just teach you the cool zero trick for when you take away from a number that has zeros at the end. Whenever you have a number that has zeros all the way to the end and you're taking away, I would just cover up the last zero and put brackets around the number 40. Once you put your brackets on, you take one away from 40. So 40 minus 1, that means the number right before 40 when you're counting is 39. And the 0 turns into a 10. Now, since the number at the top is a number you can put on your fingers, you can use your fingers to take away 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have 6 left. 9 take away 1 is 8. And you can just bring the 3 down. So your answer here was quick and easy to solve, 386. And that 386 in our picture goes where our question mark is, 386. That's how many points Jocelyn got. And we can justify by saying that we took away 14 from 400. Because we started from 400. Next question. 5. How can you represent 5 groups of 8? I already read everything. Circle some clue words. Clue words are represent. That means show. And 5 groups of 8. Already labeled. Start your 3-step. My main idea is, how could you show 5 groups of 8? And in my details, I can just write down 5 groups of 8. And since we're saying 5 groups of 8, this question's easy because all we have to do is draw 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inside, we can draw 8 dots, or since that's a lot of dots, I can just write the number 8. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 8. And if you know your 5 facts, you'll know that 5 groups of 8 equals 40. You can sing the 8 song, which we don't know yet, or you can sing the 5 song. 8 steps in. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That's how we know it's 40, but this isn't the only way. It's just the easiest way. The next way that we could show this is 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 equals 40. Because if you add the same number again and again, it's multiplication. Another cool way that you can represent this problem is with a number line. So let's draw one. I would need 5 groups or 5 hops of 8. So here's 1 hop, 2 hops, 3 hops, 4 hops, 5 hops, and each time we hop, we're just adding 8. If we start at 0 on our number line, 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 8 is 24. 24 plus 8 is 32. And 32 plus 8 is 40. Now, if you use a number line, you don't have to write in all these numbers, because just knowing that you are hopping your number of groups and that each hop is the number in each should get you the answer. If this looks a little confusing to you at any time, all you have to do is close the circle. And now it kind of looks like what we just did in the beginning. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, and inside of each group there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces that we skipped over. It all shows the same thing. 5 groups of 8, and that equals 40. To answer this problem, you could do any one of these. You don't have to do all of them. Just do what's easiest for you. On number 6, I'm going to put, are you reading closely and looking? Question. If she wants to represent 5 groups of 8, which of the following would not be correct? Underline. Read the details. Lindsay uses different representations for multiplication. Circle clue words. Different representations means different ways to show. I'm going to circle multiplication. I'm going to circle represent. That means show. And 5 groups of 8. Except this question does not want us to choose something that shows 5 groups of 8. So I can cross out my C. I've already labeled. Now I can start my 3-step. This one should be easy. She does not want 5 groups of 8. And in my details, I'm going to write the same thing. In my strategy, I'm just going to write down that I'm going to do my work in the answer choices. So let's start with A. On A, there is a huge typo. The numbers should be like this. 0, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. So those were the correct numbers, they just weren't spaced out correctly. So I apologize for that. On A, we have a number line, kind of like the one that I showed you up here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of, and each time we hop, we're adding a certain number, but we need to figure out what that is. So we start at the 0, and at the end of the hop, we end up at 8. That means that we had to add 8 to 0, because 0 plus 8 gets you 8. That means that all of these are adding 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 8. But are we looking for 5 groups of 8? No, we're looking for what's not 5 groups of 8. So A is wrong. On B, we have an array. With an array, we count our number of rows, and that's the same as our number of groups. So here we have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows, 8 rows. But wait a second, if there's 8 rows, that means there's 8 here. And I can automatically count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But are we looking for 5 groups of 8? No, we're looking for what's not 5 groups of 8. So B is wrong. Now C says 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. We're not looking for 5 times 8. This is definitely not 5 times 8 because it says 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. So this could be a maybe because it doesn't match. D says 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. All this is counting by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We counted by 8 5 times. That's the same thing as saying 5 groups of 8. But we're not looking for 5 groups of 8. So our correct answer here is C.